to me also.
Good, now it's recorded. Well, Boutros, well, I'm really happy to have you with us to speak about the situation in Lebanon, especially since the catastrophic explosion at the beginning of August. And until today, the situation is not better. It seems that the situation is worse in terms of politics, economy, society, etc. And also there's high tension in Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean. You see the war started to take place in Azerbaijan and Armenia, and then the tension in between Greece and Turkey, etc. So I think we would like to hear from you the situation in Lebanon and your analysis of this global situation, especially in Middle East and in Eastern Mediterranean. So I should introduce you shortly. Boutros Labaki is a Emeritus Professor of Political Economy in Lebanese University and San Yosef University. He wrote several books, including The Assessment of War in Lebanon, 1975-1990, and he is with us, with Bandung, since 2005. He came in Indonesia 2005. And the last time he also participated in our Paris conference of 60 years of Bandung and in Leiden. That is the last participation of Boutros in our conferences. So Boutros, maybe you can start, or well, just to remind you, Lebanon is Lebanon is also in terms of Bandung, participated in Bandung conference in 1955 and also participated in Belgrade non-aligned movement in 1961. So that Lebanon is a part of non-aligned movement. And also it is a country of more or less 5.5 million inhabitants, and divided into 18 confessions, 18 denominations.
Now 6 million.
Huh?
Now we are 6 million residents.
Okay, so well, the explosion happened at 4th of August, and 192 dead and 6,500 injured. And I don't know how many houses broken, destroyed, etc. And it seems that your house is safe. So you now
Partly
you can start
safe.
to you can start to speak.
Okay, look, Lebanon is at the confluence of three main crises. First, we have an economic crisis, which started in the 1990, 30 years ago, after the end of the war in Lebanon, 75-19. And it developed, this crisis developed gradually by the growing indebtedness, growing public debt, local and foreign. And we finished the war with $2 billion debt, and now we have more than $180 billion debt. And this has completely destroyed the economic structure, because there is no more credit for the companies, and they were opening all the boundary with this ultra neoliberal policies of the government after 1990, and without any protection for the local economy and for the local manpower. And now we have, this is one aspect. The other aspect of the economic crisis is related to the political situation. You know, there is a regional conflict, at least between Iran on one part, with its allies, Syria and the Lebanese Hezbollah and other groups. And on the other part, Israel, the USA, the UK, and some oil Arab producing countries like Saudi Arabia and the Emirates. So this conflict also affects Lebanon, because in Lebanon we have the two parts, the two axes, the pro-Iranian axis with Hezbollah, and the anti and pro-Israel, pro-American, let's say, axis with other political group. So this creates a big tension in the country, and that affects the economy, because also we have the American sanctions against Hezbollah, which turn, in fact, in sanctions against Lebanon. So money transfers to Lebanon are very difficult. And if you have a Lebanese and you have an account in USA or somewhere else, you're going to, with great difficulty to transfer your money to Lebanon. So there is a lot of pressure. There are sanctions against Lebanese politicians, pro-Iranian, anti-American Lebanese politicians. We have a big pressure on the economy, and part of this pressure is due to sanctions, but a big part is due to the corruption of our politicians during the last 30 years. After the war, finish of the war in 1975, 1990, the war in Lebanon, we have the former militia leaders who are integrated in the political system as ministers and others and deputies. And this arrangement was done by a kind of cooperation between USA, Saudi Arabia, and Syria, which was occupying Lebanon, or most part of Lebanon during this time. So they put a political system with on the top the former militia leaders who became, they changed the battle dress with the necktie, and they were looting the population directly during the wars. And now they loot the population and directly, again, corruption in the state. So they accumulate a lot of big amount of money in plundering the Lebanese state, and this affected the debt, which started at the end of the war. After 15 years of war, you have only 2 billion, and now after 30 years of so-called peace, we have 180 billion debt, and this is make a kind of asphyxie to the economy. So for this reason, you have a big immigration from Lebanon. During the 75-90 war, we have around 900,000 immigrants, and now in the 30 years following of peace, we have more than 3 million immigrants. So it's a real catastrophe. It's a human hemorrhage. This is these two factors. You have what happened to everybody on the planet, the COVID, and its consequences. Now it's growing very quickly, and the effort of the government to contain the COVID, which were successful at the beginning, are now completely unsuccessful, because they opened the economy partially for a certain time, and now they're unable to reclose it again. And also the people had problem to survive for these reasons. Now the region, to speak about the Middle East, this is situation about Lebanon. So in this situation, the explosion of the port of Beirut happened in August 4 and destroyed the main part of the ports and around 5 kilometers around the port also. The port of Beirut was the main port on the eastern part of the Mediterranean, at least on the Arab part in Syria, Lebanon, and was traditionally a gate to enter to Syria, to Iraq, to Gulf countries. It was a gate of entry to these countries through transit trade, to import, export, to transportation, etc. And now, with the Israeli-American efforts to make a kind of normalization of relations between Israel and the Gulf country, like what happened with Bahrain and with the Emirates, and what happened long time ago with Jordan, Egypt, they try so to have a gateway, a highway from Haifa, which is South Lebanon, to the Gulf, and to replace Beirut and to kill the economic role of Beirut since more than 200 years. This is one of the meanings that underlie this explosion. Now, the theory of an accident is completely put aside, and we have to wait for the judgments. But we have also to think about the Roman maxim, to whom the crime advantage.
Yeah.
It is clear that it advantage Israel.
Yeah.
Well, now, yes.
I tried to share the map. Do you see the map?
Yes, I see it very well.
Yeah, you see the map, Beirut, here the port.
Yeah.
And it seems you live in Ashrafiyeh, no?
Yes.
So you
south of the port in this green place.
Okay.
South of the port.
Yeah.
I live there.
Yeah. So yes. So you you said that it is a crime. You think that the explosion is a crime?
Yes.
Why it is a crime?
Because all the inquiries made by the several Lebanese police and secret services, and which was confirmed also by French, by the FBI and others, they conclude that it's not an accident.
Yeah,
but also the economic and political analysis I gave you before, the port of Haifa has been completely enlarged and renovated with Chinese efforts.
Yeah.
And now Israel is building the way to be the gateway for the Arab Middle East through Haifa, and through railways they intend to extend from Haifa to the Gulf, and through the normalization or the peace agreement they are doing with Gulf countries like Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and we don't know who will follow, Saudi Arabia and others. But now they have peace agreement with Egypt and Jordan, and now they have with the United Arab Emirates, UAE, and with Bahrain.
Yeah.
And since 1995, also with Qatar. So we have a series of Gulf countries to have normalized their relations with Israel and open embassies, etc., and open the way for the traffic. And this is a political design. You have the political aspect, and you have also the technical aspect the enlargement and the equipment of the port of Haifa. It's information that Chinese companies had contribute to that. And after this explosion came. So this gives doubt that the two things were not independent. And the inquiries also of the security services, the anonymity that this is not an accident.
Yeah.
This is primitive, it's a criminal operation, but we have no information on the details.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of
can,
distraction.
If
Yes.
I can interrupt you,
Yes,
the
okay.
port of Haifa, which was a Palestinian port in the past, historically, it was a Palestinian port, then captured by Israel throughout the years. Haifa.
Which force? Which force?
Haifa.
Haifa
was
was
a
a Palestinian port. Yes, yes.
It was a Palestinian. It has been captured from Israel, basically.
Yeah.
So that's important also to say, because the destruction of the Palestinian economy dates back to several decades ago. I mean, from the very beginning, from the beginning of the existence of the Israel state. Anyway, sorry if I interrupted you, Boutros.
No, it's up to the point. No problem.
Well, I just after the explosion, I heard the reportage or interview in French international radio, interviewing George Corm. You know George Corm. It's your
Very
friend.
well. Yes.
Yeah.
I know him very well.
Well, George Corm said that he was walking in his village in the mountain, on the mountain, and he saw the Israeli Israeli airplane flying over Beirut, and then after that he saw the explosion of the port of Beirut. So he made an allegation that it was Israeli aircraft who bombed the port of Beirut. What do you think?
It is more than probable.
So
it is more than probable because we asked our president, Michel Aoun, asked French President Sarkozy to give him reports of the French satellites. And he asked also other countries to give reports of French satellites. Okay, we have no result, official public result until now. But what George Corm said is corroborating what I said before, you know?
Yeah.
So this is not astonishing for me. It's quite normal. Always we take this Roman proverb, to whom the crime.
Yeah, exactly.
Profit.
So who take advantages of this catastrophe?
Exactly. No, and it's a scenario. We will see, but it's a probable scenario, a very probable scenario.
Yeah, but who takes the advantage, in your opinion?
Yes.
In your analysis.
What do you want to know from my analysis?
Who is getting advantage out of the situation? Is it military? Is it politicians? That is the question.
Yeah.
Locally or regionally aware. In the region now, Israel is getting the big advantage of the situation because it's killing gradually the regional role of Lebanon, commercial, financial, and so on. And every cultural university, we have 40 universities in Lebanon. We have the second university, American university in the world, out of the States, etc. We have French university. So the role of Beirut as a commercial, banking, intellectual center is destroyed gradually. And and on the one side, on the other side, Israel is normally trying to normalize its relation with the Arab, like she has done with Jordan and Egypt, it was not very successful. But now they are going to do that with the Arab Gulf countries, with UAE, Bahrain, and so on. And also it's linked, in my opinion, to another to the anti-Iranian front, American, Israel, and the Gulf countries, some of them. And now there is a new actor, which is Turkey, Erdogan's Turkey, which is expanding with dreams of Ottoman Empire. They are active militarily in Syria, in Iraq, in northern Iraq, in northwestern Syria, in Libya, and now in the Caucasus with Nagorno-Karabakh, with supporting
Azerbaijan. Yeah.
Azerbaijan, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this is a new actor, also make under the, in a certain sense, under the American umbrella.
Yeah, exactly.
There were some reports in BBC that government of Lebanon has been is having some agreement with Israel for maritime peace.
No, it's not for peace. Now we have a frame for negotiation to delimit the boundary, the land and sea boundaries between Lebanon and Israel. And it's very important for both of them because there is oil and gas reserves offshore in this part. And there is a conflict on the sea boundary. And now Americans are pushing since more than 10 years to have an agreement on the boundaries, on the tracing the boundaries. And now Lebanon accepted, but its condition, no direct negotiation, and only negotiation between militaries, Lebanese military with UN on one part, and Israeli military with UN on the other part, and after the UN exchange, let you know. It's indirect negotiation scheme. This was agreed, and this is going to start, I think. So this is also, this will permit us to be able to exploit our oil and gas resources, our offshore oil and gas resources, because Americans have put pressure on the French big oil company Total, who was working on the offshore in north of Lebanon in a very promising gas field, and they were giving information that it was rich, potentially promising, etc. Suddenly, they stopped it. No, they stopped the drilling. They take the material and so on. Most probably under American pressure on Total to put more pressure on Lebanon, you know. And we hope that this negotiation, indirect negotiation with Israel, will result, we don't know when, in having a definitive line separating Israeli waters or Israeli economic zone in the Mediterranean from the Lebanese one, and the same thing on the land boundaries also. But it's just starting. But it took a long time to be prepared and accepted.
Yeah, it raised many questions. How strong is Lebanon as a power to negotiate in front of these diverse actors? What can be done? What is the bargaining power of Lebanon?
Yes, bargaining power of Lebanon now is Hezbollah and its missiles, because Israel can't exploit oil or exploration or drilling without an agreement with the Lebanese state, and Israel and Hezbollah is one
There is a problem with your connection.
Is it, you don't hear me?
Yes, okay,
No,
now.
no, it is all right now. It is
Yeah.
all right now.
Yeah.
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 Please go on.
Okay, now you hear me?
Yes,
I don't see
We can
you,
hear
but
you.
you see me and we hear each other.
yes.
So
We can
this
see
is
you.
the
We
problem.
can see you.
So finally, Israel accepted its indirect negotiation.
Oh, what happened? I will
Your
put
voice is
my
breaking.
microphone, maybe. I don't know. There is a problem
No.
of connection. Of
Yes,
oh,
his problem. His problem, yeah.
yeah.
Butru's problem, yeah.
I hear very well.
Yeah, but your voice is cut it into
Breaking.
pieces.
Breaking, yeah.
You don't hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you now. Yeah.
Now you hear?
But it is breaking. It is breaking. Some sentences are coming and some are not coming.
Yeah, broken. Your voice, your your sentences are broken into pieces.
Now he has a problem, yeah.
I must shout. I must shout.
No, no.
Do you hear
No, it
me or
is
not?
about,
Yeah,
yes, we
sometimes.
can hear you now. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes.
We are hearing you very properly, but in the later part, your voices are breaking. I think it is all right now. It is all right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to repeat what I said before?
Yes,
No, no,
yes,
no.
yes, yes.
I
I
repeat.
mean,
The bargaining power of
Yes, the
Lebanon
bargaining power of Lebanon
exactly.
comes from Hezbollah. Because
Okay.
they have the rocket, they have the missiles, and they can't stop all the Israeli operation offshore.
So
And,
the Hezbollah is
yes.
supported by people.
In the south, yes, by a big percentage of the population.
Including non-Muslim, non-Shiite.
Including non-Shiite and non-Muslim, including Christians and a part of the Sunni also and the Druze. If not, he couldn't stay.
Yeah.
Because in Lebanon, everybody has weapons.
So who are the allies of Hezbollah? Means at the
Amal,
international front.
another
Yeah.
Shia movement, Amal, another Shia movement, who the Speaker of the House is the leader of Amal, and the the Free Patriotic Movement, which was established by President Michel Aoun, who was the President of the Republic, and now is the leader is Gibran Bassil, his second ally, and they have other parties like the National Socialist Syrian Party, a smaller party, a group of 10 Sunni MPs, which is the independent bloc, and the Baas Party, a collection, a front, which is allied to the Hezbollah. And they have the majority of the parliament.
Yeah, but sorry, Manu. After that, I come to you. But at this moment, if I understand well, the government doesn't function. The parliament doesn't function.
No, the parliament functions, and they voted 3-4 laws, including anti-corruption laws, including other. They voted for 3 laws yesterday and the day before. And the government is the government has resigned, but they are still managing current affairs.
Is it?
I think and the new consultation will be undertook by the President of the Republic to design a prime minister and form a new cabinet. But in the time being, we have a government that is dealing with current affairs, and we have a parliament working fully.
Well, Mano, you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I really, that was very helpful. My question is about Hezbollah and the, because the US has treated it as a terrorist organization.
Yes.
But after the Taliban agreement in Afghanistan, because they realized that without peace with a peace understanding with Taliban, there is no prospect of peace and any transformation in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So, are there maybe with the help of some French mediators or others, are there some efforts to intervene in this situation so that America changes its policy towards Hezbollah? And after the Hariri agreement, Hariri judgment, I mean, is the condition more favorable or more unfavorable for any such peace initiative?
A condition favorable for whom? For what?
No. I mean, whether the, well, my main question is, do you expect any Taliban kind of peace overtures between the two?
Between whom and whom?
America and Hezbollah.
For the time being, I doubt, because America is under very strong Israeli pressure, and they are just before the election, so they need the votes of the Jew community, the pre-Zionist or pro-Zionist part of the Jewish community in the States, and they try to do everything to attract the votes for the election. So I don't think that America, the United States, will do any compromise for the time being. But now what they have done is they have probably they have diminished their pressure, because their pressure were counterproductive, let's say. Because if there is a collapse of the Lebanese states, Hezbollah is prepared to take over an important part of Lebanon, especially the southern part, which is neighbor to Israel. And in other part also you have Syrian refugees. If there is any kind of trouble or civil war or war between Syrian and Lebanese in Lebanon, the refugee will try to go through sea and through illegal measures to Europe. So Europe doesn't want at all a collapse of the Lebanese state and the Lebanese economy to protect Europe from new waves of migrants. And I think also Israel and the state don't want the collapse of the Lebanese state economy, because this could also be a partial advantage to Hezbollah. So this is the situation.
I mean, Israel pressure is a constant, and that will, and the Jewish vote for the American elections is a constant. But let us say during the Obama administration, was there any progress in that direction? Because looking into the future, I think America has to accept that Hezbollah is the, popular force which has to be recognized.
Yes. It's a strong popular force, surely.
Yeah. But of course, right now, particularly under Trump, we don't expect, especially before elections. But is that a possible framework that is slowly emerging as as a possibility in the future?
Of what? Possibility of what?
Possibility of America recognizing Hezbollah.
Hezbollah.
And, yes.
For my deep feeling, it will be difficult because they invest a lot of energy, money, and time in diabolizing Hezbollah.
And especially because behind Hezbollah there is Iran.
Surely.
I think that Hezbollah and the Taliban are not comparable because the Taliban are Sunni and Hezbollah is Shia.
Yeah.
And Americans have US has a historic interest in supporting the Sunni, you know, the
not everywhere and everybody, but in general, it's true.
Saudi Arabia, the Gulf monarchies,
Turkey,
Pakistan is a Sunni majority country, and so on. So,
yeah.
And demonize Iran and all his, you know, allies. So.
No, I agree with you, but also with Taliban, it's a Sunni force, so
yes.
they are obliged to deal with Taliban.
Certainly.
They are obliged to do that, so they are doing that, and the problem, but there is no Israel. The problem that Israel is tried and was successful in demolishing the military and economic power of all its neighborhood. It started in '67 by Egypt, and after Jordan, which is not a big power, and after in Syria, all the war in Syria, Israel has a big advantage in intervening. Iraq, they start by bombing the atomic facilities of the atomic factories in Iraq in 1981, and after they crashed Iraq, they pushed the Americans to crash Iraq completely, and now the last one is Iran. They are trying to do the same with Iran, but which will be more difficult because Iran is a big country, more developed, technically more developed, having a dual economy, oil and non-oil, and had a strong militant Shia Muslim forces, political militaries. Iran is more difficult to crash than Iraq. And even in Iraq, they were not able now to control. They crashed down Saddam, and the Iranians are the bigger force in Iraq. In Syria, they were successful also. Now the government of Bashar al-Assad is controlling 70 to 80% of Syrian territory. The most important opponents are in the northwest, Idlib, supported by the Turks, practically it's Turkish army and Turkish proxies. And in the northeast, it is supported by US, 500 American soldiers with the Kurds, etc. But grosso modo, 80% of the Syrian territory is under control of the Syrian government. So this was not a very successful operation for the American Israelis.
Yeah. So, any questions?
What about the? Yeah.
Yes, Akhil.
What about with Russia? Means how the factions have a different kind of orientation and alliance.
What I don't understood your question.
Problem again.
When you repeat it. From what?
Situation.
The Russian relation with Russia.
Russia?
Yes.
Russia. What do you want to know about the relation of Russia? What is the role of Russia?
Yeah, means how is the alliance? Because With US, you have the problem.
Hill is eating.
No, because you have the problem with the US and Israel, you know, particularly the Hezbollah. Now, what is the kind of alliance with Russia?
Of whom? Of Lebanon? Of whom?
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah, they have good relations with Russia because they are Iranian in the sense of Iranian proxies in a certain sense. Partly Iranian proxy, partly Lebanese party. And Russia has good relation with Iran. And Russia especially is supporting the Syrian regime, the regime of Bashar al-Assad, which is the most important ally of Iran. So indirectly they are allied, and they are in several alliances. And Syria also permitted to Russia to return to the Mediterranean and to have a base, or a political and military base in the Arab world, in Mediterranean. So, and they supported the regime of Bashar al-Assad, which could collapse because it was attacked by Israel, the American, the Saudi, all the fundamentalists, etc. So Russia now has a position from Syria as a regional position, and is able to deal with Israel, with Turkey, so with Iran. Russia is the kind of even being with Syria, but also it has a relation with the enemies of Syria, which are Israel and the States and Turkey. No, Russia has a multi-phase role. Hello?
Yeah.
Is it clear what I said?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Okay.
Bidyut, you want to say?
How is the COVID situation?
How is what?
COVID.
COVID-19.
Corona.
COVID-19.
Coronavirus.
Corona, it's
Coronavirus.
since September is growing very fastly. And now we have 110 or 111 cities in Lebanon which will be closed again for 1 week, including where I live myself.
Okay.
It was well controlled until the beginning of the summer. And now with the summer, immigrants and tourists coming, they opened a bit, but and they opened a bit the economy because we have a very tragic economic situation, unemployment, etc. I described before. And the government was not able to control Corona until now. And from September to now, from August to it grew very fastly. The number of people that got the Corona is growing very fastly. It was perhaps by tens per day, 10, 20, etc. Now it's 1,500 per day.
1,500, 1,500, you mean?
Yes, yes.
I think 1,500.
Okay.
You know, the migrants
Yes, Bidyut.
are in Lebanon.
For a country of 6 million residents,
Yeah.
4 million Lebanese, 1.5 million Syrian, 500,000 Palestinians.
Altogether 2, yeah. 4, yeah.
She has a question on migrants.
Yeah. So now the migrants are leaving the country in large number, and there may be the potential carrier, or some of them do have positive signs. So en route, so some of them must be dying or without the without any medical aid and shelter and food.
Excuse me, can you repeat? I didn't understand your point, your question. Excuse me.
Large number of migrants are leaving the country, and some of them must be the carrying the COVID person with them, and en route, so, large number of people, or maybe some of them, would be dying.
It's very dangerous right
Very
now.
dangerous.
Are they going? Migration is going on still, right? During COVID, because Europe is also bad.
Very, very bad.
Are they allowing migration still, or there is some check on migration?
There is check migration.
There is no check on migration.
No, there is
Oh,
check migration.
There is, because
Yeah.
right now it is, yeah.
So
You're supposed to be isolated for 14 days when you enter.
If you enter, quarantine 40 days.
Oh,
Okay.
and how is the situation of women during the COVID period?
What?
The
Women,
situation of women.
Where, concerning the COVID or in general?
Both.
In COVID.
during the COVID.
I think it's equal to men, but perhaps a bit less, because women go out less than women and mix with people less. So it's a bit less the number of victims of COVID. The percentage of women victims of COVID is less than the percentage of men.
Okay. So they
For
are
social
safer.
reasons.
They are safer.
What?
Relatively.
The women are safer. Safe.
In this sense, they are favored because they are defavored in other aspects.
Yeah.
But in terms of job losses, in terms of greater work in domestic, more burdens at home, in terms of domestic abuse, sexual violence, we have reports from many countries
all
that
over the world.
these things have gone up for women.
And also, once the men get,
It's most probably the case in Lebanon also. But we have no statistics. We have statistics in the upsurge of violence, of killing, of theft, of sexual abuse against women. But it had risen, but more things of general impact, not on women, impact on women, which is theft, killing, smuggling, things like that, sexual abuse.
So you mentioned about the indebtedness of the economy. Now, who is really controlling the economy? Is the government, is the Hezbollah, is the foreign companies? Who is exactly controlling the Lebanese economy?
It is the banks and the bankers and the politician, and frequently they are the same. The bankers, political interest in banks, and bankers are connected with politicians. Those are controlling.
These are international banks or banks from
local banks, Lebanese banks.
So are you suggesting that local banks are so powerful?
Yes, they are so powerful for a very long time.
Yeah.
Lebanon was the Middle Eastern financial capital. It was like
exactly
Switzerland of the Middle East. It was defined. Also, many Europeans used to.
No more.
No,
excuse
it's no
me.
more. But
Excuse me, I interrupt you. Excuse me. So please go ahead.
Boutros, when you are suggesting that economy is around 180 billion US dollar debt economy.
Yeah.
So how does it happen if the local, bankers are controlling the economy, politicians are in alliance? Means, what is the dynamics of it? How does it operate?
It operates through the budget deficit. The government had a growing budget deficit, which was financed by more indebtedness with very high interest rates. And this attracted capital from abroad, especially after the crisis of 2008 and so on. And it was a vicious circle, you know. Public indebtedness provoked public indebtednent, provoked public deficit, which was financed by public investment, and so on. So it was a kind of vicious circle. And also the public deficit has two sources. First, the corruption of the politicians, or the state contracts and other things. They were financing the politicians. And second thing, the very high interest rate. We arrived in 95 to 43%, 44% interest rate for political reason, to be able to renew the mandate of the president and things like that.
Yeah, I remember when I visited your country and we met the first time, 1995. I visited
It was
Beirut.
this time.
Yeah, the first time I visited Beirut. It was after the war. It was in full reconstruction. And you are a high personality responsible for the reconstruction of Beirut. And
I was the number 2, not of Beirut, of all Lebanon.
Okay. And I remember a very amazing situation in Beirut. All the mosque and the church destroyed by the war, but the old buildings stay intact without damage at the bank. So it is very interesting.
Because they are the people who hold the power. They were
So
able to pay all the militia and the foreign armies not to bomb them.
Yeah, so that, yeah, exactly. So that, and also they need to save the money, then take the money from the from the bank, no?
Right.
And what about Hezbollah's share in the economy? How do they operate? How do they sustain?
They sustain themselves.
No, how is it?
How they are financed?
Yeah.
This is your question.
Finance, how they get armed.
Financing, you have two important parts in financing. First, through Iran, financing and arms. And second, they have local financing because they develop a local economy in the area they control. They have the biggest microcredit organization in Lebanon, which is Jihad al-Bina and things like that, and Al-Qard al-Hassan. So they developed a small-scale Shia economy in the part of Lebanon where they are influent, and they take also donation from those people, but mainly it comes from Iran.
Okay.
So they have two main sources of financing.
So are you, Boutros, suggesting that the kind of legitimacy that the Hezbollahs enjoy in the part that they dominate is also through these economic activities, small scale financing, or whatever you call it?
Yeah. I don't understand your question. Excuse me.
No, because you said that Hezbollah is also a very, very popular force, isn't it? Particularly
Yes.
in the areas that they have the dominance. What I am
Yes.
asking is that is it also through the economic activities that you mentioned? They have been, generating or manufacturing their legitimacy, helping out the poor, giving small scale finance and all?
Yes. A part of their popularity came from this aspect you mentioned now. You see?
Yeah. Yes, Boutros,
No,
you
no.
said. Oh, what happened? Oh, he changed
He
the
must
machine.
be, might have gone, the electricity problem might be happening.
Yeah.
Change it to the other
Device.
sources of electricity, yeah.
So,
Marzia can, enlighten us. You were speaking on something, yeah.
no, I think Marzia has proposed that one of the series will be dedicated to India, Pakistan, tension, Kashmir, and Marzia is also willing to participate as a speaker.
Yes. When do you want me to participate? Because I'll be a bit busy until the end of November, but I can find the time. I mean, if you are interested to listen to.
Yeah.
You are from India yourself?
No, I'm from Italy.
Ah, lei parla italiano così.
Sì, anche
Sì,
lei.
Sì,
Boutros
Io
is
sono mezzo
also
italiano.
Boutros is also Italian citizen.
Ok, interessante.
Sì.
Bene, mi fa piacere. I'm pleased.
Me too. Okay, I don't understand your question concerning India and Pakistan. What was it?
No, I said that.
This is talking about the conflict in
Yeah,
the region.
one of
She'll
the
be speaking on
session,
that.
our session will be dedicated to India-Pakistan conflicts, including Kashmir.
Yes.
Question.
Well,
Marzia is researching on these issues, I think.
Well, I'm researching, among other topics, on, I mean, my main research subject now should be the partition and the strategic and military, British strategic and military requirements behind India's partition.
Okay,
And,
great.
Great,
yeah.
Good to know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have been working on it for quite some time now.
I've been working on it since a few years, but due to several reasons, this research is going on very slowly because I have so many other things to do. And in order to become associate professor, I had to publish a lot of stuff, and that research requires a lot of time. So I had to publish small articles on other topics. For instance, now I'm publishing a chapter of a book that I'm editing on Gandhi's views on India's partition compared with the Palestinian partition, because Gandhi was very much engaged about Palestinian partition. He was very much worried about it. Okay. And I think, I didn't mind, the similarity between the Palestine partition, and it's very interesting what I found, because he was very much involved about it. But anyway, so and now
So
Professor
Mano, we didn't hear you. Mano, we didn't hear you.
So, sir, I would like her to make a presentation on that. That would be extremely interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Partition of India and partition of Palestine.
And Gandhi's approach to it, yeah.
Get that for today, that kind of thing will be unique.
Yeah. So it will be after next week, because next week will be dedicated to Greece, Turkey, and East Mediterranean. So after that, we can dedicate our meeting to India-Pakistan partition, and also Palestinian and Kashmir question.
No,
I don't compare Palestine with Kashmir. I compare Palestine with India, not with Kashmir. Okay, I can also sorry. I compare also Palestine with Kashmir, of course. The present situation, yes, it's comparable. Yes, I mean the states, present state of
your
Kashmir.
presentation. I mean, from that we can draw lessons for present, but you know, that can be the reference point.
Sir, apart from that, I think Boutros has given such a comprehensive presentation. Now it is confined to 5 of us.
Yeah.
You know, if we can invite him for a larger audience, because some of the important, very important dimensions and dynamics very important. Yeah. So we can think, we can organize an event where, you know, interested scholars, particularly from India, you know, we have different platforms. Sir is very, Professor Mohanty is very close to, actively associated with that. So we can organize where both Margia will be speaking, as Sir has proposed that she should speak on her research, you know, that may lead into a very good publication, Palestine and also India partition. And also Boutros, because the way he has explained the situation, both internal and external dimensions and dynamics, you know, we can have a larger audience and we can have a very, you know, thoughtful, exciting discussion on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also some of our students and scholars, research scholars, can also join.
And at the moment, if I can add something to what I said before, I'm publishing also an article on Indian Forum on the shifting of India's alliances. I mean, on the shifting of India's foreign policy from non-alignment to the alliance with the United States and the replacement of India as one of the main ally, U.S. main ally in South Asia, replacing Pakistan in this way. So the reapproachment of India with Israel and with Saudi Arabia and with the Gulf Emirates, you know.
Oh.
So that's if you are interested, I can also talk about that. You tell me what you want to.
No, I think probably, Sir, one thing is the partition that you have mentioned.
We will start with the partition.
Okay.
Gandhi, particularly with reference to Gandhi, Palestine, and you know, that is one. The other issue that you have mentioned, you know, India's changing profile in terms of foreign policy. You know, we have been having a lot of research on India, you know, going very close to, you know, United States of America, for that matter, Israel, or India's, America's overall approach to India in terms of India's presence in Asia. But I think if you can speak on India's realignment in terms of foreign policy in the Gulf areas, Middle East, that will be of you know, great value for us. That will be a very learning experience for us.
So we
can organize it. Yeah.
I think the partition, the two partitions, that will be you know, something new for many of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good. Now we continue with Boutros because I have still many questions. Boutros, it's okay?
Ahlan wa sahlan. Yes.
Yes. Okay. You spoke about Haifa project, about Chinese project. So can you share with us the relation between Lebanon, China, Russia?
Lebanon is very small.
Yeah.
You know, and China and Russia are giants.
Giants.
But what I can tell you, Lebanon has good relations with Russia. But and Russia intended to offer and to sell weapons to the Lebanese army, but the American pressure stopped this process, because the Lebanese army is equipped with American weapons, and the officers are trained in America and France and so on. And you have the same problem with Iran also. They were ready to give us weapons and so on. And but Russia also is a good market for our exports, especially when they have sanctions, as you remember, from the EU. We were able to provide fruits and vegetables, etc., to Russia because of our Mediterranean climate. But Lebanese traders were not up to the level necessary. With China, China is the first, the first country from where we import. Before it was Italy, and now it's China. It's China, and after Italy. And so we have a big market, and we can develop a lot of trade possibility with China. And China offered several times to build our ports, to build the railways from Beirut or from Tripoli to the inland, and to renovate our airports, to invest in our highways, also to invest in internal railway, and a lot of things. But Western pressures on our government stopped this process of economic rapprochement with China.
How about people?
And this also pushed Mr. Macron to come to Lebanon.
Exactly.
This is one of the reasons behind Macron moves.
Yeah, I have an impression, looking at the news about the coming of the visit of Macron in Lebanon. It seems that the people, Lebanese people, are fond of Macron, and they want Macron save Lebanon. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, so there is several categories of people in this move. A small category, they are nostalgic, as nostalgia of the French mandate, and furious against the state, the Lebanese state, which is not function efficiently. Other people, they are desperate. So we have this political conflicts, and we were unable to solve them. The Americans are putting pressure on us, etc. So Macron initiative was seen as a way to and a hope of solution to our political problems. Yeah, which may lead to the conflict between Iran and the United States in Lebanon, to create a momentum to solve or to ease the solution of the negative aspect of this conflict in Lebanon. But Macron was a bit...
Il dit que dans tout son discours, il n'y a pas eu ni Israël,
Janine.
Janine, that also, you know, we know that Macron is strongly related with Israel, as you know. Macron is strongly related with Israel, as you know, and the Israeli lobby and so on. So this is why he didn't. He is not neutral. And also
he has his
interest, French economic interest. Lebanon is the only people in the eastern country in the Eastern Mediterranean where France can have a certain role influence by the tradition of Francophonia, by the history, by the interest France had in Lebanon. You know, the port of Beirut was managed by a French company. The French banks were the most important until the 60s or 70s, etc. They have a lot of interest in Lebanon, and they have a base that the Francophonia
Yeah.
you know, the university, the school, and so on. So they can build on it, especially that now you have an expansion of Turkish interest and military presence and terrorist operation and so on, and economic presence. So this, the Macron wanted also to stop the Turkish expansions toward the former Ottoman Empire.
But do you think that the Macron proposal is credible?
It's credible if it remains in its first framework, including everybody, not include anyone, not siding with one side and against the other. Yani he must be open to all the Lebanese parties. And it started to seems to be at the beginning this way, and after, when it comes to practical negotiation and move to form a government, Macron was with one side. So for this reason, his initiative, the first, let's say, the first aspect of Macron initiative didn't succeed. Now, I think he's probably preparing a second mouture, a second aspect. We'll see.
Yeah, but he just denounced the government of new government of Lebanon, who is not credible, who is corrupted, etc.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true for the majority of the groups.
And Boutros, you know, regarding the forces in Lebanon, for example, the government is there, military, politicians, now Hezbollah, and also the bankers, as you have mentioned. What about overall, what we call the civil society?
Yeah.
The people in the university.
Exactly.
People in the domain of literature, for example, theater, art. How visible and how important their voices have been? Do they have a voice, for example?
They have a voice which is divided. It's not united.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
And it's divided mainly among the lines that divided the society, which is religious, confessional lines, alliance with countries abroad, and so on. So they don't, what is called between two brackets, civil society reflects the real society, which is multi-communitarian, where people have links with foreign countries and so on. So for this reason, it's not efficient, but it is growing. The interest of the society is growing, and it could grow more if they know how to make alliances with the non-corrupted forces in the political
spectrum. What about the youth, for example, university students? You know, when you look at their loyalty or allegiance, whatever you call it, to Hezbollah, to the government, is there any pattern that the university students or the youth community has? Yeah.
Let me tell you, there is 40 universities in this small country of Lebanon of 6 million inhabitants, but have 40 universities. Some 10 of them are big universities, others are small universities. And generally, you have the movement, the student movement is divided.
Okay.
Along political lines, along confessional lines, and geographical lines. So it's not united, and was not able to express his needs to have reform, fight under corruption, and things like that. And they were manipulated mainly by groups financed by foreign countries, mainly Western countries.
Okay.
You see.
Yeah.
So
well,
this couldn't work.
Yeah, we have discussed since long time that the confessionalism or confessional state is the root problem of Lebanon. Do you think that deconfessionalization is possible?
It is possible. You know, first, it's not a Lebanese specialty. You have confessionalism in Syria and Iraq, Saudi Arabia, in everybody where you have several religions, you have this problem.
I exactly didn't get the question. I didn't understand the question.
Oh, my question. You know that the my question.
I didn't get the question. Yeah.
Well, Lebanon.
Yes, your question.
The problem of Lebanon, the division of Lebanon, that the people are not united because there is separated by confessions. There is 18 confessions, okay, and then the functioning of the government, the functioning of the parliament is based on this division. The quota of religions or religious community and the power sharing of the country. Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. So the question is it possible to deconfessionalize? I mean, to abolish this system of division by confessions. That my question. Is it clear?
This cannot be done. It cannot be done by a decision from up.
Yeah.
Society has to change. If you want to deconfessionalize in India, can you make the confessional division between Hindu and the Muslim by decision from abroad? No, it's a dream. It's totally, ask any sociologist, anthropologist, you know, remember what happens in Europe between Catholic and Protestant and so on. And even in Germany, you know, you have a certain proportion, not written in the papers, between Catholic and Protestant, when the chancellor is Catholic, the president Protestant, and also. So this have Ireland, you know, this is not a Lebanese specialty. No, you can't have a Catholic president in the United States. The only one was killed. Okay, so this is the problem. So you have to have a change in society because the political system reflects the society. A change of society will be reflected in the political system. So when you ask about the confessionalize, you have to secularize the society gradually by education, by mixing people, by developing secular political groups and so on.
But it is moving in the reverse direction.
Excuse me. You know, when I came to Delhi to study for my MA in 1962, the Arab League representative was Dr. Clovis Maqsood.
He was a Christian Maronite Catholic.
Exactly. But he gave us the Lebanon example as a secular experiment in social development. And you know, for 4 years or 5 years, we were really fond of him. And he said, you know, Pakistan and Israel are two examples of the non-secular society. In those days, you know, Pakistan was very, very, you know, that was military rule and so on. So my first impression of Lebanon was that it was a secular society of religious harmony, Shias and Sunnis, Catholics, Protestants, you know, and you know, you now say how many? 18 denominations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And therefore, and until the foreign forces took active interest, separated societies, generated animosities among them, linked economic interests with this denominational interest, backed them with arms and money. Slowly, that war, 75 to 90, that solidified it. But history has given us many examples where there were communal harmony, religious harmony, and societies did have plurality. And I'm sure, when you said that Hezbollah is supported not only by the Shias, but also other denominations, there are many.
No, I didn't say that it's not supported only by the Shia. Part of Christians support him, and a small part of the Sunni and the Druze. It's not only by, if he was supported only by the Shia, he couldn't stand.
Exactly. But the outside impression is Hezbollah is only Shia. Okay. What I'm saying is that social harmony with multi-denominational social composition is not a thing of the past. I think Iraq, before American aggression, had a framework of Shia-Sunni unity. I think the American occupation...
With domination, but with the community domination of the others. No, this is the political problem. In Iraq, the Sunni minority, which was about 15 to 20%, was Arab Sunni, not Kurdish. Only they were dominating the country. And now it's the contrary, the Shia majority is dominating the country. That's
right. And the Americans accentuated the Shia-Sunni conflict in Iraq.
What?
In my assessment,
America contributed towards the intensification of the conflict between the Shia and the Sunni.
Sure. It is the old Roman maxim, divide et impere, divide to rule. It's the same in Iraq, in Palestine, in India, the same thing.
And in Afghanistan, but it did not work in Afghanistan.
No, okay.
They were defeated and they are retreating. In Iraq, also they were defeated and they are retreating, but they are not allowing. Already they have armed and accentuated the Shia-Sunni conflict to such an extent. And of course, the resources, oil resources and so on, are another subject. Therefore, what I'm saying is divide and rule has been the policy, as you rightly said, and it is possible for people to get together, transcend it, and oppose the divide and rule policies from outside.
Yes,
when Boutros, you fix your camera, so we cannot see you now.
now you can
yes. Now we can see you. Now only you are coming properly. Yes.
No,
otherwise
my iPhone
disappearing.
I put it more horizontally. Now I put my iPhone vertically, so you can see me and I can see you.
I can see you. We can see you properly now. Yeah.
Okay.
Boutros, when I discuss with the Lebanese friends, they said that the people, they want to deconfessionalize. They don't want to stay in confessionalization. They want to abolish the religion on the identity card, because
it has been abolished.
Identity card you have
it has been abolished.
Religions, but the state doesn't want to deconfessionalize. So that is the problem. I mean, well, there are countries where you have many religions, including in Indonesia. We have hundreds of religions, but the state is not based on the proportionality of the religion. I mean, the power is not based on these different confessions. While the Lebanon, there is a power sharing based on confessions. It seems that's the problem.
Yes, look, because in Lebanon, the proportions between Christian and Muslim are more or less around 50%, or 45, 55, or the invest. So the balance is very stable. In Indonesia, you have perhaps 90% of Muslim Sunni, so it's not a problem if they play with some minority of Christians or Hinduist or Buddhist. You see, this is a difference. In India, it could be a difference. In the United India before the colonial India, Muslim represented 20, I don't remember, 25% of it was something. And for this reason, the British were able to work on the partition of India. But when you have a very big majority, you can do that.
Yeah.
That should make it more.
The problem of power sharing is you have it in every country of country. You have in Belgium, you have that in Switzerland, you have that in every country.
Yeah.
In a lot of countries, you have this problem.
Yeah. But I mean,
in my opinion, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Societies, you have sometimes homogeneous societies. Everybody from the same language, the same religion, etc. You have heterogeneous society.
Yeah.
Here we have to know how to live in harmony in a heterogeneous society. This is the challenge of Lebanon.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was successful until the 75, until the war, and after when the regional situation started to be violent after 1967 war and the emergence of Palestinian resistance and all that influenced the balance of power in Lebanon and led to the war. So because people want to take advantage from the Palestinians, military presence and other were against and so on. You know, for interference from outside destroyed the harmony.
So you mean that Lebanon can survive with this system, with the same system?
But with the you have to evaluate, to be modernized, and to diminish, to have, let's say, aspect of social and political life secularized, and some aspect that can remain communitarian.
Yes, I mean
that is possible. That is possible.
Yeah.
And this is a way for integration.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to go gradually, sector by sector.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is well, this is a key solution for Lebanon, I think. And so first, consolidation inside the country in order to have a bargaining power facing outside actors. That's I think now Lebanon is inside, it is broken and no power at all to bargain with outside.
No, we have power to bargain with the Israeli.
Yeah.
And the type of negotiation we are going to have with them is a proof that we have the power. Because Israeli want direct negotiation without UN, without USA to impose on us their decision. So because we have this bargaining power, Hezbollah, we are able to impose our conditions for the framework, from the frame of negotiation.
Yeah. So, and the main pillar of power is Hezbollah.
For the time being, yes. As far as our Lebanese army, the Lebanese politicians, they don't allow the army to have weapons from Russia, from Iran, from China to balance Israel. Hezbollah and its weapons remain a necessity for sovereignty of Lebanon. In 2 words, the people who don't want to have Hezbollah and his weapons have to bring the equivalent weapons to the Lebanese army in order to be able to face Israel. That's all. It's very simple. It's as simple as that.
So you mean that the main threat of Lebanon is Israel?
Sure, because they are still occupying part of our land. Now they try to occupy part of our territorial sea to exploit oil and gas. And now we have 500,000 Palestinian refugees. They don't want them to return to Palestine. All that is.
They actually want to naturalize the Palestinian refugees in other countries like Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan. They want to naturalize them in order to prevent them to go back to Israel or Palestine.
Israel wants that.
Yeah.
But in fact, in Jordan, they are naturalized.
Yeah.
In Syria, they are integrated, but without being naturalized. In Lebanon, they are not naturalized and half integrated. We don't want to integrate them completely because it will be a catastrophe for us. In Egypt,
and also for Palestine.
and with the loss of Palestine, the only country which is not accepting the naturalization of Palestine is Lebanon. This is one of the reasons of the pressures of Israel against Lebanon to oblige us to accept the integration of Palestine. So no Palestinian will ask to return to Palestine, and this will finish the Palestinian question. This is why they are hitting us so strong. We put in our constitution that it's forbidden to naturalize Palestinians, which is called in Arabic tawteen. This is a point of agreement between all the 18 Lebanese communities. It is one of the points of agreement.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
It's normal because we have now 600 person density per square kilometer. 600 per square kilometer.
Yeah.
With the Palestinian and Syrian. Lebanese, we have 400, and we have 200 persons per square kilometer in Lebanon of composed of Syrian and Palestinians. There is no country in the world which such a percentage of refugees.
Yeah. But you know, behind Israel, there is the West.
We know that.
Yes.
Yeah, behind Israel, there was all the West, and also Arabi Saudi, the Gulf country. So you are alone in Lebanon, no?
We are?
Alone.
No,
we have with us, we have Russia, we have Iran, we have Syria. We are not alone. We have, there is a kind of conflict between these two groups, and we are resisting.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a provocative question? What do you think?
Go ahead. Prego.
Are you aware of the Einon or Enon plan, ordered Enon or Einon plan of 1982?
What Enon?
It was the Enon or Einon. I don't know how you pronounce it. It was the plan for Israel strategy in the 1980s. It was published in the journal Kivunim in 1982.
Alon.
Einon.
Not Enon.
Einon.
Alon, A-L-L-O-N.
No, it's
Alon.
No, it's Y-I-N-O-N. It was a plan to divide the Middle East. It's a very interesting document that was used also by the Project for a New American Century. It was used also as a strategy by the American neocon to divide the Middle East.
Yeah, no, I know there are plans, several plans to divide the Middle East, the new Middle East, the Arab Spring, and all those things. They have to add to the same country, and they were successful partly. They were able to divide Sudan, to divide Libya. They tried to divide Yemen in a sense, and they tried frequently to divide Lebanon. They were not successful. Syria, they were not successful. No, this plan has been implemented in a certain sense. But not
the
completely
Einon,
like the Western and the Israeli want to do it.
The Einon or Enon plan is very notorious or famous. I mean, it's considered the the basis
Who is the
of.
gentleman? Who is this
I
gentleman?
can write. I think he was a journalist. It was the name was this.
An American journalist?
No, he was I think he lived in the U.S., but he was an Israeli.
Israeli.
A Jew. It was a Zionist, basically. Zionist.
Einon. But we have a lot of plans of this type. It started with the creation of Israel.
This is very famous.
The creation of Israel.
This is very
when
famous.
Moshe Sharet and Ben Gurion, they have a plan written in their memories to have every 10 years a war against the Arabs to stop their development and to divide the Arabs against the Middle East again along sectarian boundaries. A Christian state in Lebanon, a Druze state in south of Syria, an Alawi state in northwest of Syria, and so on. A Shia state in Iraq, a Kurdish state. They were always this divided empire. The same story from the Romans to now. It took different styles and different names and different, but at least since 48, this is the constant Israeli policy: divide to rule. And it was successful after 67. They were able to crack on Egypt, was the main Arab power, and they were able after that to crack on Iraq, to demolish atomic energy plants, and after to finish with Saddam and to have a quasi-partition of Iraq. After that, they threat with Syria, etc. No, it's and Yemen. It's the same style, and it was announced by the American. What is the name of this Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was in Condoleezza Rice?
Yeah.
No, and all this business of Arab Spring. This was the objective, and it was successful. They were able to split Libya in two parts. They were not successful in Egypt. They were not successful in Lebanon. They were not successful in Syria. They were successful in Iraq. They were successful in Yemen. It depends.
And Algeria.
They tried, but they were not successful in Algeria.
Yeah.
They tried. So it's a classical colonialist, neo-colonialist policy. It's a classical policy.
Darwis, we think we can have a series of lectures with Boutros on Middle East.
Exactly.
It's not one lecture. Yeah. The way he is explaining the whole situation, picking up all important dynamics, both local and international. It will be very interesting to listen to, divide it into teams and maybe countries. That will be of great help for all of us.
Exactly.
And we can organize that.
Yeah.
So it's 8:30 now.
Excuse me, but I didn't understand.
My
friend Akhil, I didn't understand exactly what you said. Excuse me.
I said, Boutros, that we have to have a few lectures, not one lecture with you.
With pleasure, it will be my pleasure.
One lecture with you, because the way you have explained, not only of Lebanon, but also of whole of Gulf countries or Middle East, and also explaining both the local and international dynamics. It will be of great value for us, great help for us, if we can hear you over a series of lectures, not one lecture. That is, I am suggesting.
This will be my pleasure, but we have to determine the theme or the subject of each lecture. Today, the lecture was covering everything practically.
Yeah, this is today is general overview. It's a kind of
Exactly.
general overview.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
Akil will organize special issues
Yes.
of this
What I can do,
general.
and
It
we
will be
have
my
the-
pleasure to share in it.
So how do you connect you? Has he joined through Zoom, or how has he joined? Oh, he has to join through Zoom.
You can join me. Darwish has my phone number, my email, and everything.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but then you have joined in the Zoom platform, isn't it? Yeah.
Can
What?
we stop now, Darwis? Can we conclude?
Yeah,
It's now.
Yes, we need to conclude now.
exactly.
It's 8:30 in India.
I mean, and
Yeah.
I will put you into contact, Akil and Boutros.
Yes.
Anyway, Boutros
Yes.
is in the mailing list, so you find
Yes, I know
the
it. Yeah, I know it.
email
Yeah.
address of Boutros and in our mailing list. Okay. Now it is 2 hours of talking, conversation, very fascinating and exciting conversation. I think I would like to thank you very much to Boutros, and he has to
Welcome.
struggle
You are always welcome.
struggle to get electricity, to get everything in order to run this talk.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No, we were able to manage.
Yeah,
no
very
problem.
good. Yeah.
Thank you
yeah.
very much. Thank
So,
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
very much. You may leave.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you
may
also
leave,
for
and I will close
for
the
your
last. When everybody left,
contribution.
I will close down the room. So,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Grazie.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao,
Bye,
ciao.
bye, bye.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.
Okay.
Darwis, when can we talk about other issues, regarding...
Well, next week will be Greece and Turkey.
May I participate?
Oh yes, of
Or
course. You are now in the list.
Okay, because
So next
interesting. Don't forget that Lebanon was part of the Ottoman Empire
Yes,
with
exactly.
Greece and Turkey. So
Exactly.
we are deeply connected,
Yeah.
not only by history and memory, but also by geography.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, we didn't talk about Turkey, Lebanon today. We didn't.
No, I have no time to do that.
Yeah,
but
exactly. So
I
next
can
time.
talk next time.
But next week will be our colleague from Greece,
Okay.
Dimitris, who will talk about the tension between Turkey and Greece and Eastern Mediterranean, and about the strategy of chaos. The strategy of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. I see.
And can we get in touch so we can talk in Italian, Boutros?
Sì, possiamo parlare italiano.
Come
sempre,
posso
non c'è
mettermi in
problema.
contatto con lei? Con
Sì,
te?
il mio nome è sulla lista di
È sulla lista,
partecipanti.
ok. Va bene.
Il tuo anche.
Sì, anche la mia, sì.
Sì,
Va bene.
con molto piacere.
Anche per me, grazie.
Ok, grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Darwis, when can we talk on Zoom about the other issues like the cost funds and so on?
Oh yeah. And also the term of reference for every workshop. For example, culture, history, economy. I saw that, for example, they have the working groups already working. Dragana and Ana Maria and Toulouse, they already elaborate a text. And also Isaac on culture. And Mamadou, you're supposed to write on history. So we will discuss in the group of history with Mamadou. Yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah,
so we'll get in touch next week.
And after that, we will make a presentation of every proposal.
But only Mamadou is writing on history for the history group.
Yeah, because he agrees, and we are waiting for his proposal. And until now, we didn't receive yet any proposal. But I have seen that economics and culture already ready the text. Yeah.
Then we agree for a meeting on Zoom between me and you on I mean next week. We'll exchange mails, or do you prefer to fix it now? What do you want?
Well, in principle, in general, I am teaching from Monday to Wednesday.
Okay.
So I am in Le Havre from Monday to Wednesday, and from Thursday to Sunday, I am in Paris. So we can meet either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, or even if necessary, Sunday. Okay.
Okay.
But
so I teach from Thursday to Friday. I mean, I teach on Thursday and Friday.
So it's Saturday is better in this case.
No, but we can get in touch also after my lessons, even at 6 or so. Okay. So we'll exchange mails and
yeah, exactly.
Okay. We fix an appointment. Okay.
Good.
So
Thank
have a nice
you.
weekend. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
you too.
Thank
nice
you very
weekend.
much.
Boutros.
Thank you.
See you, Boutros.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao.
See you. Bye bye.
Oh.
On va fermer, hein?
Yes.
Voilà.
Très bien, merci.
Salut, à la prochaine.
Salut, merci.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Oh. C'est pas encore fermé?
Je ne sais pas comment on ferme.
Boutros.
Oui.
Que penses-tu de notre réunion?
C'était bien.
Hein?
Oui, mais pas beaucoup de gens ont participé.
Ouais,
il y a ces deux collègues indiens et cette dame italienne, et les autres n'ont pas participé.
Ouais,
et la dame indienne aussi.
Oui, il y a Fatima du Maroc. Il y avait Soyoung de la Corée. Mais il y a plusieurs, plusieurs collègues n'ont pas pu participer.
La Fatima n'a pas participé, par exemple.
Oui, ben elle a apparu comme ça, puis disparu. OK?
Ah.
Oh, mais t'es content. On va refaire.
C'était satisfaisant pour toi?
Oui, c'est très bien.
Moi, je suis content parce que ça m'a permis surtout de connaître ses collègues indiens.
Oui.
Ce qui était une bonne chose. Et cette collègue italienne, on n'a pas beaucoup parlé, mais ça va, on parlera après.
Ouais.
Et j'aurais aimé connaître les autres Fatima et les autres.
Ouais.
Ça viendra. Est-ce que tu vois Hassani et Adrissi?
Non, nouvelles. Pas de nouvelles.
Elle a disparu du champ de vision.
Exactement.
Bon. Alors, allez. Moi, tu peux m'envoyer les listes des noms et des adresses des participants?
Oui, bien sûr. Ben, il est dans l'email, dans l'adresse email, dans mon message email.
Et il y a le téléphone aussi?
Non, il n'y a pas de téléphone, c'est juste adresse email.
Ah.
OK?
Bon, OK.
Voilà.
À la prochaine.
À la prochaine. Alors, alors, à droite, en bas, à droite, il y a le mot end ou fin. Tu cliques. En bas,
haut à droite.
En bas à droite, tu vois?
C'est bon, en bas ou en haut?
En bas, rouge. Ça s'écrit.
Moi, j'ai en haut rouge, c'est écrit REC, R-E-C. En haut à droite.
Non, REC, c'est enregistrement. Non, ça s'écrit fin, F-I-N.
Ah, je n'ai pas ça.
Hein?
Je n'ai pas ça chez moi.
Si, il doit y avoir fin. Pour terminer la réunion, il faut cliquer fin. Non? T'as pas trouvé?
Non, je n'ai pas trouvé, mais Je finis par trouver. Votre micro est réactivé, merde. C'est le contraire.
Bon, je vais fermer le mien, ok?
Ferme le tien, moi je débrouillerai pour fermer le reste.
Très bien, merci.
Bon après-midi, bonne fin
Toi
d'après-midi.
aussi. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.